Hockey Inside Out, brought to you by Videotron.
Welcome to another episode of Hockey Inside Out. Chris Knuckles Nilan back with us today, and Mike Boone. I'm actually glad to see you're still breathing, Mike, after live blogging that Canada-Latvia game.
Are you kidding? I'm exhausted from trying to spell the name of the goaltender. Whatever happened in the game.
I heard somebody refer to him as alphabet long name. That pretty well sums it up.
Exactly. Thank God we got North Americans in the semifinal. That'll be a break for my keyboard.
Your U.S. boys are looking pretty good, Chris. I know you sang God Bless America on this show a few weeks ago. You might be singing it again after the gold medal game.
Yeah, they're playing well. There's no question. They got a lot of speed, a lot of talent, depth, good goaltending, everything you need to win. They have the ingredients. Now it's, you know, this game scares me against Canada because Canada has not played their best hockey yet. And I think they're going to, there's some familiarity with the players, all NHL guys. It's obviously that rivalry between the U.S. and Canada is huge. And hopefully they execute and they show up and play. But I think Canada's really going to show up and play the game we haven't seen them play yet.
Phil Kessel has certainly looked good, Mike, for fans who maybe didn't think he was a superstar in the NHL. I think we're seeing that he is.
Absolutely fantastic, and not alone either. That it pains me as a Montrealer to admit this, and the Canadiens fans will be descending on my house with the torches and pitchforks. But Van Riemsdyk and Kessel are better than any two forwards on the Montreal Canadiens, as far as I'm concerned.
Now, with Team Canada, how come they can't score, Chris? What's going on?
Well, lots of pressure, you know, expectations, pressure, goaltender. I mean, come on. And that team yesterday, Latvia, without Ted Nolan, I don't think they would have been there. And he put in a system that team, they believed in. He's a good motivator as a coach. And they finished their body checks. They were in their face. And those guys making $8–9 million a year, most of them, they don't want to be hit. Yeah. They don't want to get hit like that. And every chance they got, they hit them, and they frustrated them. You know, they certainly had a tough time. And believe it or not, I like what Grape says. You know what? You put all them superstars together, a lot of them don't want to do the dirty work. They all want to set up, and they overpass it. You know, they don't take the shot. They're looking to make the play all the time. And it's cost them as far as goal scoring, but I don't think we'll see that against the U.S.
How much is it the big ice, though, Mike? This tournament's turned into almost soccer, right? It's you put everybody in front of the net, you block shots. You don't have the diving, but I mean, it could go to penalty kicks at the end. Also, do you think the big ice is the reason?
Absolutely, certainly that's what Canada saw through its first 4 games in the tournament. Other teams just park the bus, and that's it. It's exactly like soccer. But I don't think we'll see that in the semi. We'll see more of an NHL game on a large surface. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Now you played a lot of games in Boston Garden. Was that a better game on that little rink? I remember those are pretty exciting.
For me,
games.
you kidding me? You had to take 2 steps and you could hit someone. That's a step and a half. And you know what? In that Olympic rink, yeah, you get a 7.5 feet over here and 7.5 feet over here wide. They just leave you out there if you have the puck. And, you know, D-men, they'll back in and angle, the same as NHL. It's actually smaller from the blue line to the goal line in an Olympic rink. So when they collapse in that zone, you know, they'll give you the outside and give you the shot from there. Any goalie should be able to stop it from out there. And they're protecting the middle just like they do in the NHL.
The closer blue line means Shea Weber's shot gets to you that much faster.
Which it did. Which it did last game.
Yeah. Now, Mike, what has Mike Babcock, if anything, done wrong so far leading Team Canada?
I guess he's getting a lot of stick for the situation with PK Subban, but I don't know about that. You know, I'm a Montreal or Canadiens fan. I love PK, but you can't fault Canada's D thus far. If he were dressed, he'd be the 7th. I would dress him ahead of Hamuse, probably. Up front, I don't know. You know, he's tried Martin Saint-Louis. Patrick Sharp hasn't had a great tournament. This is Canada. We're all hockey coaches. He's going to get second guessed no matter what he does, particularly if they don't medal.
Do you think we'll see PK in the gold medal game?
No, I just think it's another case of the dumbing down of PK Subban. You know, we're going to put him in his place too. Montreal Canadiens have done it with Michel Therrien, and that translates into Team Canada to do the same thing. I believe he's capable. Come on, the kid's an Norris Trophy winner. He can play the game. And I don't buy this thing, oh, he's not that good defensively. Well, go ahead, put Bouwmeester out there. I don't care. But I really think PK was worthy of playing. And, yeah, you can't fault Canada. They've won, right? They've won, and they've got a lot of scoring on the back end, thank God. if they hadn't got the scoring on the back end, Doughty and Weber, the possibility they wouldn't even be playing the U.S. right now.
PK would help the power play.
That's what I'm
Which has
thinking.
struggled
Instead of
a lot,
playing Dan
you know,
Hamhouse, who's he's like all these other defensive guys, right? He's not bringing you another added component. And as you said, the goals are coming from the defense. 7 of Canada's 13 goals have come from the defensemen. But now Russia can't score either.
Good.
Out.
and you know what? It's the old curse of Ovechkin. Washington Capitals are stuck with the curse of Ovechkin. He's never going to win anything there. He's went through coaches there, one after another. You could put him with the Stanley Cup favorite. You could take him from the Capitals and put him, say, the 2 finalists are going to be Boston and San Jose or LA or Chicago. Put him on Chicago's team. He'll screw it up. And I don't think this guy will ever win a Stanley Cup or a gold medal.
Well, you look at what Bruce Boudreau is doing in Anaheim. Got the best team in the league going forward. What's your thoughts on Ovechkin, Mike?
Fun to watch, a very exciting player, but I agree with Chris. You just have to go with what the record is and what we've seen so far. He doesn't seem to be a team guy, and nobody wins with him.
Mm-hmm. Now, Andrei Markov was the #1 defenseman for Russia. He looked a little bit his age. He's 35 years old. He looked a little slow. Is that something to be concerned about?
I don't know. I mean, we've been concerned about that here since he had his knee surgery. Now, there's certain times in a game where he's going to get exposed like that. He's going to get caught in a situation where maybe he's not moving and he has to pivot and go quick, and he's going to look his age. And that's the difficult part. Now, Andrei Markov on the power play here, he's certainly going to help. He has during this season. They've slumped a little bit as far as the power play in the recent past, but he's still an effective player that way. And you know what? He's really good with his stick. He's a great poke checker. I watch him a lot in games down his own end. He doesn't have to overpower guys. He uses his stick so well and his positioning so well. It's a neutralize sometimes where he gets caught a little flat-footed, then he's in trouble.
We'll be back after a short break, and we'll ask the question, what's been wrong with Sidney Crosby so far in these games? Welcome back to Hockey Inside Out. The question most Canadians are asking themselves during this Olympic tournament, Chris, is what's wrong with Sidney Crosby?
Sid the Kid, I think it's the same with him as it is with the team. Expectations, pressure. That team yesterday hit. They finished their checks every chance they got. It's tough for him. There's not a lot of room out there for him to operate, and he's having a tough time. I think he'll have a much better game against the U.S.
Mm-hmm. What's your take on Crosby?
I think he's being dragged down by Chris Kunitz to quite a degree. They went over there with that theory of twos, while Perry and Getzlaff have been great. Taves and Sharp, not so hot, and Crosby and Kunitz have not worked at all.
No, and I mean, Kunitz was on the power play against Latvia while Marty St. Louis was on the bench the entire third period, which sort of surprised me. Chris, you played with some great players with Guy Lafleur and that. Were those guys hard to play with?
Like he would know.
Yeah, really. It was tough to get off the bench. You kidding me? I had the big splinter in my arse while Guy was on the ice. I never played with him. I played with Janny and Neely in Boston. I was on the left side. I had a couple games I played with him, and we did really well. But one shift, I was wide open, setting up for the one time. I was drooling for the puck, and he passed it to Neely. I got back to the bench, and I give it to Janny. I'm hey, I'm wide open. Give it to me. Hey, between you and him, I'm going to give it to him.
Now, Gretzky and Lemieux, Mike, they shone. They were great on the international stage. What do you think maybe the difference was there?
I think they are better players than Crosby, to be fair, and then you'd have to look at the supporting cast, and there's a whole bunch of variables involved. I think Lemieux and Gretzky would have excelled in a tournament on the moon. I don't know if that's necessarily the case with Sid.
Yeah. Now, talk about pressure. What was the most pressure you ever felt in a game or a tournament? Was there one moment that stands out in your mind, Chris?
Not so much. I had no pressure playing in that U.S. team in the Canada Cup and stuff like that. I mean, just me getting a shift was all gravy, but I played regular. I actually, the second time around, I was the second leading scorer on Team USA. That tells you how far they've come.
Yeah.
And pressure, I felt pressure at times to fight more than anything. I never had the pressure of scoring goals, right? That's why I did it so easily, because I didn't have the pressure. And you get that? So easily? But I felt the pressure in Boston Garden. Come on, when they had 3 guys over there, potential guys to fight, Philadelphia, teams like that, I felt that pressure before a game to do my job, and that's when I felt pressure. But nerves more than pressure, I think.
Do you think pressure is a big thing for Canada, Mike? Is it?
Yeah, I think so. You
Yeah.
know, you have the expectations of the nation riding on you. If the U.S. doesn't win today or tomorrow, it's not like people in Alabama are going to cry themselves to sleep. You know, we're a hockey country. Not the same.
Now, when they go up to the Canada's GM box, there's like 8 guys there. I almost think it's maybe a case of too many cooks in the kitchen, Chris. Would it be better with one guy in charge, do you think, or do they need this whole?
I don't know. That's how they do it. I mean, they want the best minds. They put them together, and they, you know, how much input do they have? Do they, you know, when they got to troubleshoot, what are those 8 guys going to do to get this team scoring? I mean, they picked the team. You know what I mean? The team's picked, and I guess they're just all part of it. So they go over there and fat cat it in a box, and a couple of cocktails, a little wine, a little cheese, you know.
What would your strategy be for Team Canada, Mike, going into this game? What would you, if you were Mike Babcock, what would you be looking to do?
I think you'd give a rousing pregame speech in which you tell them that they've sucked for a week. And, you know, the whole nation is watching them, and this is their North American rivals, with all due respect to Mexico. And they just got to go out there and beat them.
Now, with the 56 or 57 shots on goal they had against Latvia, does that mean anything, Chris? Or the fact they're not burying them? Is that
means their shooting percentage is brutal. Only scoring 2 goals in those 56 shots. It doesn't mean anything. That game is done. It's past. It's time to look ahead. It means nothing right now.
Looking ahead also now, Mike, should the NHL go back to the Olympics again in 4 years, or is enough with this experiment?
No, I think they got to go back. It's a fantastic showcase, and you know, it boosts interest in hockey in general, and people get enthusiastic about NHL players. I mean, if they didn't go back, we'd have a tournament of Latvias, basically.
Yeah. My thought would be maybe make it the World Junior Tournament every 4 years, but I mean, I'm sure the New York Islanders would love to see NHL players not go back.
Yeah, after Tavares getting
that break.
You know what I mean? And Putin probably would like to see NHL players from other countries play for his team the way that crew played.
Yeah.
Isn't Putin in Kiev with a fire extinguisher?
Oh, he's in there with a can of gas. Are you kidding me?
Now, Mike, you've been live blogging on HIO during the games. What was the sense of panic like with the fans in that game against Latvia the other day?
I think the whole country was on the edge of its seat. If you can imagine 30 million people crowded onto a seat. I mean, that game was ridiculous. How close did they come?
Yeah.
Carey Price doesn't make a couple of big stops in the third period. This was Latvia. I mean, man, I hope they're setting us up for something good.
Has Price impressed you the way he's played?
Yeah, he's played well. I mean, come on, he had that little hiccup the first game. I think he's been solid. You know, I don't think that's the problem. It's obviously scoring goals. They've had the problem scoring goals up front, and Carey Price has done a really good job, I believe, especially yesterday in that third period, that big save he made. I mean, that's hard to do when you don't get any action. I mean, how many shots did he face the whole game? You have to stay so focused, so ready, and he's done well. He's done well.
Mike, do you think you'll be setting your alarm for 6:30 a.m. Sunday for a Team Canada gold medal game?
If I were a betting man, which I'm not, thank God, I would say that the U.S. is going to win, but hope springs eternal, you know.
Chris, your thoughts?
Listen, I don't know who's going to win. This is a tough one to call. I want to see the U.S. win, no question about it. I think Canada's going to give them their best game they played yet. You know, that NHL group back together. It's going to be nasty hockey, and I like that.
You going to sing God Bless America for us again in the show?
No, we'll wait. If they win, we'll see what I'll sing then.
All right,
Kate Smith here.
That's it for another episode of Hockey Inside Out, and we'll be back next week with a new one.